Hello, everybody. It's Darcy and Alexa from Island Fitness. And we are not at Island Fitness, obviously, but we're here today to help our membership through this very unusual time, very uncertain time. And Darcy is our health coach, wellness coach at Island Fitness, and she's been working with many of our members before this COVID crisis, but also especially now. What she has to offer is really important because yes, we all know exercise is incredibly important, but there's pieces and layers to all of us and what makes us healthy. And Darcy and I have been talking together about how we'd like to be able to have a conversation and offer some of strategies to continue to help us through this. Even though we know we're gearing up for getting back into community together, it's still unknown on the timing. So, hey, Darcy.
Hi.
Do you want to tell everybody a little about what you will be offering? I think beginning next week, you're gonna have a class, part of the group fitness schedule.
Yeah, so we're going to be offering on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. a 55-minute like a group fitness class where you can come on the Tuesdays that you can. We'll have it. It'll be topical. Some of the things will be what we're discussing today in more depth, but it'll be interactive where you can actually get some advice, get some tips of what other people are doing, ask me questions, share whatever's on your mind and stressing. We'll be talking one time about dealing with stress, another time maybe about ways to help you sleep better, another one to have ways to have intention, and then we'll go with some tools for that week on how to be successful in that week in this kind of strange at-home time. So that's kind of what we're hoping for.
This is where the virtual, never thought, especially in our industry, where virtual would actually be really cool, because what you do can now be even more accessible. You can reach out to more people in this virtual format. So I think
absolutely safely too.
Yeah.
So yeah it is.
Cool.
It's a nice option.
Yeah. So we spent the last week or so reaching out to our members, asking them what's on their mind, what are their questions that we can help them with during this time. And we put together 10 questions, and we're going to, I'm going to ask the questions to Darcy, and she's going to share some strategies. And the first question is kind of a basic question. There's a lot of information out there, Darcy, on how to stay healthy during this time. And you and I talked about some of, what we're finding to be the best practices that's helping us personally, that maybe you could share with our members of, the staying healthy during this time where we're being told to stay home.
Yeah, there's so much information, and so kind of shaking that down and figuring out how to incorporate the key things into your lifestyle and what will work and what will work ongoing. And what I'm finding is that it's things that actually we probably should be doing anyways on a daily basis. Yeah. This just makes it kind of more in our face. Obviously the fresh fruits and vegetables, like we always tell everybody. Sleep, getting good sleep, getting that physical activity. One of the things that they're noticing with this virus is that it doesn't do well in heat. So it's really good to be having warm foods and liquids, doing some lemon and some tea and some warm waters. If you've been out, come in, gargle with some lemon water. Limiting your alcohol. Alcohol disrupts your sleep. It disrupts your metabolism and even your stress management. And as
little balance with those happy hours, right?
Yeah, we're hearing that alcohol sales are through the roof, right. And I get that. I'm an extrovert and this is killing me. I get that. But it actually really disrupts your sleep. And sleep is something that's so important right now to keep your immune system up. Uh, Taking things like probiotics, things that are gentle and healing on your stomach, it's really important again because that limits inflammation. Inflammation compromises your immune system. Oh, I always tell people the warm foods. I always think for some reason I always come up with breakfast foods, but I'm always going to oatmeals. And we have had more oatmeal in the last 5 weeks, and it's almost like we're craving it. And scrambled eggs, soups, those sort of things. I even tell people who are used to making smoothies, take your base smoothie of whatever dairy you use and whatever protein powder you use and warm it up and have it almost as like a hot chocolate.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but being physical, I think also really helps you get those deep breaths, kind of gets all that stress out. It helps you sleep better. Uh, Thankfully, we've had some nice weather, so getting out and getting walks in, and but really, the fresh fruits and vegetables as much as you can. I know my husband came in with this whole thing. I was telling Alexa when this all happened, and he heard, "Oh my gosh, we might be, restricted to our home." He went out and bought all sorts of food, and a lot of it was snack food that we don't even ever have in our house, and so it was. It was really a challenge to try to not eat that stuff, but really have the healthy foods and the whole foods that are so important right now.
Yeah, that actually segues into a specific question somebody asked about how to handle the snacking. Like the people are just like draw magnets to their refrigerator right now.
Well, it's different, now that we're home so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm finding the same thing. I'm used to running a million miles an hour, rarely being home. And then when I'm home, I have my normal stuff. But being here around all this stuff is definitely challenging. And we're more tempted to eat out of boredom, nervousness, fearfulness. So some of the strategies that we've come up with at our house, especially for me, if you don't know me, if you haven't met me, I have a 18-year-old senior in high school daughter. I have a 16-year-old sophomore in high school son, and myself and my husband. And my main issue has always been food. I struggle with food addiction. So for me, having all this stuff right there just about sent me through the roof. So one of the main things I have found is getting the stuff that is more of treat food, what I call treat food that we shouldn't have very often, getting it out of my pantry and my kitchen, getting it out of my eyesight. I don't like garages. I don't know why I don't like my garage. So I put all that stuff down in the garage. I have to do a little bit more effort. I had the healthy stuff, my nuts, my seeds, those sort of things at eye level in my pantry where I see. The other thing that I have found that works really good for me is not letting myself get too hungry. I do intermittent fasting, but I don't go too long because when I get too hungry, I make bad choices. Mm. The other thing is really asking yourself if you're feeling hungry, are you dehydrated or are you tired? Because we can misread both of those. If we're not getting sleep, if we're not hydrating enough, we can misread those as hunger and start eating when really we need a big glass of water. Okay. So the other thing is, I tell people, this is such a huge one on multiple levels right now, is making a food plan, creating a food plan, a meal plan of what you're going to have for breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner. And what the benefit is of that is you write that out. From that, make your grocery list. So then when you do have to go to the grocery store, you're in and you're out. You're not wandering, you're more purposeful, your food will last longer. Be realistic with that food listing. For us, we'll do, like I said, we'll do oatmeal 3 mornings a week. So, I can repeat. It's hard if you're trying to come up with something different for every single meal. So do some repeats, do some leftovers.
I think having that list, especially now when you go to the grocery store, is super important because you have to gear up to go to the grocery store. your mask, your hand sanitizer, whether you choose to wear gloves or not. It's like such an event. And I had the experience yesterday where I went and I was all fixated on being prepared safety wise going in. And then I got in there, I'm like, what am I here for?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, don't go down to the aisles where all the packaged food is. Just stand in front of the produce. And then so I just stood in front of the produce and I just started throwing stuff into my cart. I'm like, okay, I have no idea if this is what I came for, but at least I'm starting in the right place. But I really wished I had a list, a grocery list when I walked in.
Yeah. Grocery shopping right now is stressful. I mean, I
Yeah.
went into the store and I'm like, there's arrows, which aisles are which way, you're avoiding people, and it's you can't hardly. I mean, I was like, oh, I forgot that, and then I went up the wrong aisle, and it's very stressful. So a list is helpful, and then review that list, hang it on your fridge where you can see.
Yeah.
So when you do get hungry, there it is for you to see.
Right.
I've even heard of people making their food the night before. We do it for lunches a lot of times based on our leftovers and stuff, but they actually will package their food for the next day just like they were going to work, and they do that for their kids. And so the kids know, okay, there's my snack, there's my lunch. When that's done, it's done.
That's a great idea. That's great. And that falls into something you and I discussed, is like creating consistency and structure in your whole day will help you in making healthy food choices. Don't you have, yeah, we have creating structure for your day. That was something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, the thing that I hear a lot of people struggling with is if we are at home, either working or not working from home, it's kind of like Groundhog Day again and again and again. And my husband asked me the other day, "You want to go for a walk?" And gosh, I was like, "Where are we walking to that we haven't walked 30 times already?" So we try to keep Monday through Friday different than our Saturday and Sunday. So what that looks like for us is we established with my 16-year-old, I go in and get him up either at 9 or 10, depending on how nice I'm feeling in the morning. And Monday through Friday, we do we get up, we get dressed, we go for a 2.5 mile walk. And that's just our thing Monday through Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, we don't have that structure. But we do certain things that make Monday through Friday look different. Having that consistent wake up time. That's, people are struggling to go to sleep at night because we don't necessarily have a reason to get up or a certain time to get up. So put that time in place for you and then have it be different. If you want to sleep in on Saturday and Sunday, that's fine, but have it be different on that Monday through Friday. The other thing is, oh, shoot, I just lost it.
You know what I've been finding really helpful is at the nighttime is trying to create a consistent plan there, because that's when, you can end up too late, like, especially like the news. Like we have to stop the news at, early afternoon, watch the news for a little bit or read the news, but then we have to stop because it just, never mind the blue light, but just the information overload can just mess with your sleep cycle, because your nervous system gets on overdrive, worrying about the unknown.
Yeah. And I think that is really important. And in order to do that, keep your meal times similar. And keep your, have a day or have a time that, okay, that's when I get out and go outside and go for a walk, or I do some physical activity. Try to create that structure in a time that it's not there. The other thing that we try to do is we'll plan things. So you can plan things like whether you live by yourself or you live with other people, you can plan things like Takeout Thursday. My son and his buddies, it was one night they were all downstairs. Oh, we could hear my son downstairs laughing. It was late, so we were like, all right, go to sleep. And he and his friends via I don't know, it was on their phones. I don't know how it was, probably Zoom, but they all started the Clone Wars, the Star Wars show at the same time on the TV. And then we're all linked up somehow, so they're watching it together. So they like had this movie night, and they were all cracking up and interacting. And I thought, oh my gosh, how clever is that? So, have movie nights with your friends, but via Zoom, where you all start a show.
Right.
You're watching it together. Have, take out Thursdays. Have, make special nights within that you can look forward to. So you're creating something different than this continual Groundhog Day.
You're doing a great job of answering somebody's question about, creative ways to stay connected to friends and family during this time.
Mm.
Yeah.
I have the cutest story about that. My daughter, I haven't done one of these, but I really want to. My daughter was telling me that what she's seeing pictures of on, I think it must be Instagram, is these trunk parties where kids are getting together. And my husband actually said he saw one in Silverdale, and backing their cars 6 feet apart, right? Trunks facing each other, and in their trunks they have blankets and pillows, and they're having trunk parties where their trunks are open and they're all visiting with each other 6 feet apart. And I thought, I want a trunk party.
That's a great idea. And
so cute.
Didn't you do a deck party with friends?
Yeah, just last Friday. We have a friend that has a large deck and a large yard. Our dogs are brothers, and so we went over there and we had a deck party. We ordered pizza that was delivered. Pizza place rang the bell and left, and we were all 6 feet apart, and it was great. It was so wonderful just to get out and be social. In that same friend, a neighbor of hers put a thing up on all the mailboxes and said, 5 o'clock on Thursday night, everybody come out to your lawn and we'll wave and chat from our lawns. And my neighborhood didn't do that, but I loved that idea. I wanted to go to her neighborhood and chat to her neighbors. Oh, so, things like that, where you just think, my son and I walked down, I live in Paulsville. We walked to downtown Paulsville on Friday morning, and down at the gazebo, they have, all these benches together, and we saw people, one person would be on one bench, one would be on the other, having coffee dates. So you can still get out. Just remember that 6 foot thing. You can get out and have a coffee date with a friend. Just keep that distance, and being outside in the sunshine is a great way to do it, keeping that distance. There's lots of ways to still make that happen. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, of course you could go on a walk. And that's all I had thought about. And I thought, you could go on a walk with a friend and keep distance, or even without a friend, because so many people are out. And I'm an extrovert, so I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a person. I've been talking to them for 5 minutes. I'm talking to a lot of strangers. I don't even need anybody to walk with. I just need a walk.
But that's, that feeds you. Some people are, they're enjoying this solitude. But other people, this is not their comfort zone. This is not what feeds them. And it's really challenging.
It
so
is.
Coming up with those creative ways to connect is really important.
Well, and I think you can bring, it is kind of this weird thing where you go to the grocery store and people are even avoiding eye contact. And I took a Zoom yoga class from Sherry, and she was saying, it's Friday, it's dance party Friday. And she was out dancing with her headphones on as she went down the street. And she said, I saw 2 moms out there with their kids, and they all started dancing even though they couldn't hear my music. And sometimes just getting out there and doing something like that brings joy to other people too.
Yes.
And interacting in a way that we don't typically, because really we're meant to be in community, and this is a good way to do it.
Yeah. Let's go back to addressing folks, that creating that structure for the day and the sleep practices and managing food seems to be a really big question for people, because it is an opportunity I'm sure everybody's doing things like, what do we hear a lot of? Oh, people are organizing, everything, like they're spring cleaning to the max. But there is opportunity here to do things with your food that you've always wanted to do in regard to improving your health, but you haven't had the time because you've been so going here, going there, and now you have the time. So what are more little strategies for with the the managing the food piece and creating that structure and fun flow throughout your day? So Darcy, you want to talk a little bit about how intermittent fasting can help us with
Yes,
creating
I'd
that
like
structure right now?
Yeah, so intermittent fasting has kind of become very popular within the last 6 months, 12 months. Uh, I love it because I was never much of a breakfast eater. So for me, this was great because now I finally have backup for not eating breakfast. But what's nice about it is you choose a time period where you specifically don't eat, and it gives your body a chance to rejuvenate. It gives your cellular structure a chance to not be processing food all the time, but to actually work on repairing your body. So what, you can pick a time of an 8-hour window that you eat, or a 10-hour or a 12-hour. If you're new to this, you can start by just trying it, a couple days a week and see how it feels. But this is a great time with people maybe waking up a little bit later because they're working from home and they don't have that long commute to try it out. So what I do, for me, the hardest part had become snacking after dinner. I don't know how that crept into my life, but it did. And so my
Well,
thing was, right, my thing was after dinner, nothing else. And then the goal is to eat by 6:15 and be done by 7. So then I don't have anything after 7. We're usually in bed by 10, falling asleep by 11 is the goal. So that gives my body a break of digesting and processing food before I go to bed too. And then I don't eat again until the next morning around 11 or 12. So the key or the benefits of this are, like I said, it gives your body a chance um, to just process and then have a break. And if it's not constantly processing food, you guys, it's crazy. It can go in and clean out the bloodstream. It repairs cells. I first started doing this when I would have a cold. I wouldn't eat for, I would try to go like 24 hours, and it would make the symptoms of my cold stronger, but way shorter. So we learned this early on to do this. So I think it's such a great system. And plus, when your body's not constantly doing that, and it can, you're not constantly fighting that inflammation, which again is going to wear down that immune system. The warnings with this that I would say is, my big thing is always that you are in tune with your body, listening to your body. And I want to warn people that you're not so rigid in your times that if one morning you wake up at 6 and by 9 you're hungry, if you're truly hungry, have something. Don't be like, no, I can't eat till 11 or 12. The most important thing is listening to your body. Okay.
right. And also everybody can create that 8 to 12 hour window of
Yep.
eating, and it works with their circadian rhythm. So if you
Yes.
are an early morning person, you
Mm-hmm.
could get up and you could start eating at 8 in the morning, but then you would stop, say, at 4 in the afternoon.
Absolutely.
And then maybe you go to bed earlier, like at 9 o'clock. Everybody's schedule is different. And that's what's cool about this intermittent fasting, is it really can work with the individual and,
Absolutely.
and still support all the benefits that you just described.
Absolutely. And, just don't be so rigid that, say, I used to give the example, if your family, Saturday morning, your family all wants to go out to breakfast. We don't do that anymore. But, if something's happening where it is a special event, just because you be flexible and listen to your body, and don't participate in life for it. Just to keep this schedule. The other thing is you're trying it out and setting your kind of time patterns and seeing what areas you want to eat. Don't make yourself go too long that you're too hungry, because I think for too many people, myself included, when we go too long and we get too hungry, we start making bad choices. So stop, break your fast before you get to that point of being too hungry, but also have a plan for how you're going to break that kind of mini fast. So I like to break it, again, I'm on this oatmeal kick with oatmeal, or I do a smoothie, or I'll do my my almond milk with my collagen bone protein, collagen bone protein powder, and do a little mix with that and come off of it kind of as slowly. But I have to have a plan, and don't use it as an excuse to, overeat the other hours that you have, but have a set plan, have a plan to have whole foods the rest of your day to get your nutrient dense foods. So what we do is I usually have oatmeal or I have my smoothie. And then from there, that's usually around 11 or noon. Then in the afternoon, I start getting a little hungry for a snack. And so I'll have some nuts, I'll have some seeds, I'll have some vegetables with some hummus, I'll have an apple and some almond butter, or I'll have something that's a healthy fruit and vegetable in the whole foods form. Like I said, I have my processed foods that are in my house, because my husband really was excited to get them, not in my eyesight, so I don't have those, but I have the other things, and then that goes right into dinner, and then we end dinner. It is getting more challenging with it being lighter later. I am finding to have dinner around 6:15. So I might look at adjusting that a little bit. But that's the beauty of this, is that it's not like a diet where you have to eat certain foods and eat certain times. So you can adjust it. And I figured this would happen. And, so now it's going to be 7:30 or 8, and that's okay.
I think it is important for people to understand with the intermittent fasting that this isn't about not eating.
Right.
This is about giving your digestion, and now we know how important our gut and our brain are connected, that it's giving our body time to rest, relax, and restore and rejuvenate. And yeah, there's for some people it's a real benefit for, if you are on a weight loss goal. People are successful in losing weight this way because it really gives them structure to not eating too much. But again, I just think it's important that we're not saying, okay, this is about not eating. And you gave all these wonderful examples of, all the whole foods that we should be eating during an 8, 10, 12-hour window. Yeah. Oh, so I looked right down at another question, and it was staying positive. It was this member's asking, how do I stay positive during this time?
Yeah, I've struggled with that. It kind of comes in waves. I think when this all first happened, it was like, whoa, we all kind of had stuff that was planned in this last 4 to 6 weeks. I know we had a vacation. My son and I had a vacation planned that we'd planned for a year. So we're all kind of going through that grieving cycle, and then we got past that, and then I hit a wall 2 weeks ago where I was like, oh my gosh, what? I can't do this. I can't walk this another path again. And so some of the things that I have seen in our household and in talking to other people that has helped them stay positive is trying new things, especially if it's creative. I think that I'm learning so much from the younger generation. My husband took my daughter out to teach her how to drive a stick shift. And it was a couple weeks ago. And she came home and she's like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I haven't been in a situation to challenge myself for weeks, right? Because it's like Groundhog's Day. And she was just on fire. And I thought, that's cool. And then my other friend was saying her college-age son is home, right? Because all these kids have now come back home, and he's teaching himself guitar, and he and his friends are teaching themselves via Zoom, doing Dungeons and Dragons together. And I thought, that's awesome. I need to be more proactive and learn some stuff. For me, it was taking the Zoom classes at the gym. I don't usually have time for classes when I'm at the gym. They're not the right times. I live in Paulsbo, so on my days off, I don't go in. And they're really fun. And what's cool is if you don't want them to see you, you can just take it off video and you can try these hard classes and you can be dying. I try Renee's No Cycle in core class, I tell her the only reason I love it is because there's not a spin cycle involved, because I don't like those things. But I'm glaring at her, I'm rolling my eyeballs at her, going, oh my gosh, you're making us do this again. It's great. I love them. They're challenging me so much more than just walking, which is my go-to, you know. So that has been really fun for me. Another thing that I think always helps us feel better and more positive is checking in on other people. You know, I'll send out texts to, you know, people, just checking in on them, but I've been calling people and there's something about just connecting that way and finding out, hey, how is it going? What do you need? Both my mom and Trevor, my mom doesn't have a smartphone. Trevor's mom doesn't even have a computer or the internet. And so we have been able to find out what their needs are. Trevor's been able to do some Amazon orders for his mom, and she lives up in Bellingham, but have things sent right to her house for her that help them out. I have a neighbor who's a widow and an older gentleman, and I bake bread once a week, and I make 2 loaves, but we don't eat 2 loaves. And so I've been making him some and bringing it over, and I knock and I ran away. And they're like, hey, there's your bread, you know, doing things like that for other people. It's hard to stay negative when you're helping other people. Yeah. And I think thinking of creative ways that we can do that is really important. So even for my mom, without a smartphone, she couldn't get her order. She wanted to do a Safeway drive and deliver, but she couldn't do it without a smartphone. So I was like, I can do that. I'll tell you when to go down, or I'll go down and get it. And so helping people like that. I actually got her groceries and brought them home and cleaned them all, and, you know, set them aside so they were all nice and clean when they got to her. And, you know, that made me feel good. So I think trying new things, helping others in the ways that we can, and then really just reaching out to people. If a name pops into your head, it's not an accident.
Yes.
Reach out to that person. Yes. Give them a call.
Yes.
Check in on how they're doing. I can't tell you how many times I've done that over this, and people have been like, wow, you have a sixth sense, because I was just struggling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really, really special. And when it's very healing when you know someone is thinking about you, you know, and then they let you know. And that's one of the, I don't want to, maybe one of the gifts out of all this is that it doesn't take much to help someone these days right now. It really doesn't.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, this might be a good segue to the question of a couple of members asking about coping with anxiety and stress because they can't come in to Island Fitness right now and do their regular, you know, so many people exercise to help with their anxiety and stress, and now so many have to reinvent, you know, how do I deal with this? And then another layer of a different kind of anxiety and stress.
Yeah. Again, like I was saying earlier, we have found that we have had waves of anxiety come through, and they're kind of unpredictable. You know, I mean, we can have anxiety all throughout the year, but I think this sort of situation can kind of lend itself to more fear. A lot of it's out of our control. And I know the first time we laughed because the gym closed late on a Monday night, early on a Tuesday morning. So I was home, and then my husband's work sent him home on Wednesday, and so he had to start working from home Wednesday. And by that Thursday night, we were at it. We were in a fight, and we were like, you know, we thought, oh my gosh, we only lasted 2 days. But what was going on was that we both were dealing with anxiety and stress. And once we identified it, and, you know, he's like, well, you're not doing this. And I'm like, well, you're not doing this. And we both were like, okay, we're stressed. I'm stressed about this. You know, this brings up a lot of stuff that we don't even know. We're not even aware of. Fear of getting sick, the economy. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff right now going on. And so the most important thing for us that we realized is once he named what was going on with him, I named what was going on with me. We haven't fought since, and I was like, now we've made it 5 weeks. So naming it is really huge. If you can, just spend some time really thinking, what is causing me to feel this anxiety and this stress? Is it the unknown? Even if naming it as the unknown doesn't get you any closer to, it's just this fear of the unknown. What does it look like? Just naming that, it takes the power away from that fear.
And you inspired me with the last question in regard to what you can do to stay positive and reaching out to other people, because, the opposite of fear is love. And if we can turn that fear into love, and then you inspired me, well, that love, I feel that love when I help someone else, and it takes a lot of work right now, because you can spiral, but there is, just turning it around.
Yeah, and once you've identified this stress, or even before you've identified, if you know you're having it, one of the things in those first few days, because I was really struggling, I do not reach out to others easily. I encourage others to reach out to me very easily, but I don't do that myself. I struggle with that. But I had identified actually Beth, and I was like, okay, I just felt like a safe cove with her. And I was like, hey, can we text? If I'm having a rough day, can I reach out to you and just be like, oh, and so that's a big thing is if you're feeling that stress, if you're feeling anxious, reach out to someone and share it with them. And even as you discuss it with them, again, you'll be naming it, and some of that power will go away. So really use your support system. Think about who is being put on your heart that you want to reach out to. The other tool that I find so valuable is journaling. And I know people are probably rolling their eyes right now. But the reason why I love journaling is, if you journal for a week of how you're feeling, what this day is like, what's going on, how you slept, and then at the end of that week, you go back and you look at it, you can start to see patterns that, oh, wow, Tuesday and Wednesday, I really struggled. What was different about those days? Was my diet different? Was I watching the news more? Was I on social media more? Did I not get outside? What was going on? You can start to see patterns. And if you see patterns, you have information, you can start to make changes. You can also see positive things where, hey, what made these days work? Oh, I did that. So now I'm going to start making sure I do that more days and see how that goes. So journaling is hugely beneficial, hugely beneficial. The other thing that you guys, there's so much out there. Again, I was saying, there's so much misinformation, and there's so much information, is make sure if you're going to be watching the news, if you're going to be following these things, make sure you're getting your information from a reliable source, and limit how much time you yeah, right, you know what I'm talking about. And you might have those friends who spin things up. I have one, and I have to limit my time that I chat with her, because then I start feeling, but get it from a reliable source and keep perspective. Yeah. I can get on my days where I'm like, and I'm going crazy with this. I can get kind of in a pity party, but then I think, wait a minute, we're all healthy, we're all safe, we're okay. Keep perspective on that. And then the other thing I would just say is really take intentional breaks from social media, from the news, be it, an hour or two before bed, just some time. I actually have been being purposeful. The first week I was on, I don't do social media, but I was on my news app all the time, and I wasn't sleeping. I was just going crazy. And then I just quit doing that. Now I can go like 2 days, and I'm like, oh, I haven't even looked at my news app. What's going on? Maybe we're out of the stay home, stay healthy, and I don't even know.
Do you notice that you feel different when you're not listening to so much news than when you are listening to a lot of news? Do you notice a difference?
Again, so much better. I think that when I listen to the news, I mean, obviously they want to get information to us, but there's also an agenda. There's an agenda to make stories, and so yeah, I feel like if I can just stay here and do the things and stay focused on what I have control over, I'm so much better.
Yeah. And oh, I know something that we are very passionate about, and we have Buddha here, the importance of breath, right?
Yes.
Really,
Deep breathing.
when you and I talked last, you were talking about, and I share this practice with you when you can't sleep and you just practice those full body breaths, that
Yes.
it brings you back to you and not whatever is keeping you up.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. If you can focus, when you focus on your breath and holding, breathing out, you can't, I always count, okay, count that breath in, count how I'm holding it, count how I'm breathing out. Okay, now try and make it even longer. And when I start doing that, I can't think about anything else.
Mhm.
And if I'm doing it in between, if I've woken up at night and can't get back to sleep, or I can't get to sleep, I do that. And boy, maybe I lost 5 breath cycles and I'm out again.
Same here. I really count on that because
Yeah, it's a great tool.
yeah, it really is. And the power of breath and what it can do physically, and the full body breaths, the diaphragmatic breathing can really help not only calm the nervous system but support the immune system.
Absolutely. Boy, I had to have an MRI probably about a month and a half ago for my head. And oh my gosh, those things are terrifying to go into. And you have all that loud noise. And I did the deep breathing, just focused on my breath. And before I knew it, 25 minutes were over. It was
Yeah,
great. It's really powerful.
yeah. There's some good practices out there for coping with anxiety and stress. And I think one of the some of the last questions we have here are folks that are home with the kids, whether they're
Oh,
really small or, teenagers.
yes. Yeah, first of all, you guys, if you have young children, my heart just goes out to you. I know when my kids were little, my kids are 19 months apart, and those are some hard days. And I can't imagine having to go through this and not being able to take them to the park, not being able to have play dates. So my heart just goes out to you. I hope you're making time for yourself, and I hope that you have support. But I think definitely when it comes to with dealing with kids at home, and again, it's a little bit different when they're older, because they are, I want to say more independent, but mine are 16 and 18, and I still do a lot of these practices with them. But, during this time, keeping the healthy foods as an option and in front of them, okay? Because we might do that when they're at school. We pack them healthy lunches, those sort of things. But then when we're home, it's a free for all. Everybody grab whatever they want to. But making sure that, they still have healthy options, and you're modeling those healthy options, that you're having dinner all together. And then it's healthy dinners are really important. The other thing is chatting with them about this, no matter what age they are. Answer their questions age appropriately as best as you can. Let them know that they're safe. Let them know that it's okay to be anxious and to be scared. And then maybe share with them some ways you're dealing with stress, or come up with some ways that you guys can deal with stress in a healthy way. The other thing is, I would say in my before children life, in my past life, I was a preschool teacher.
I was hoping
And
to talk about
I
that.
was a preschool teacher. And then a little bit after that, I guess it was when I was pregnant with my daughter, it was during 9/11. And one of the things that I was telling the parents is we really have to limit how much the news is on and how much kids are on social media, but especially if you have young kids and the news is on a lot, because as they hear things repeated, they won't necessarily understand that it's the same thing we're talking about again and again. To them, it's a new thing each time. So they will misinterpret information, and that can cause a lot of fear in them. So really limit the amount of time that the news is on and that social media is on. My daughter, my 18-year-old, was saying, yeah, I didn't have any social media before this, and now I can't stay off my phone, and it's driving me crazy. So have kind of all family shutdowns of social media. Ask questions, when you're having these discussions with them about, hey, how are they feeling about it? If they come out with a really off the wall, especially if they're older, answer that you're thinking, well, that's ridiculous, just ask. Because sometimes you want to say that's ridiculous. Just say, why do you think that? What's causing you? Where are you going with that? Just get more information. Just my son is more of my quiet one, and he looks like he's handling things fine, but really digging in and keep asking him, hey, how you doing, because their lives are totally different right now. They're missing their friends, they're missing a lot of different things. And then with young children, the older children, they are able to go on to FaceTime and Zoom and do that sort of thing. But if you have young kids at home, I think this would be so cute. But get Zoom up. If you have a toddler at home, have them Zoom with their friends. And oh my gosh, can you imagine?
You could do an art project.
Yes, that'd be the cutest conversation ever.
I have a feeling I bet they're already doing that out there.
I hope so. I don't know if I would have thought to have mine Zoom with a friend. Yeah. I don't know if I would have. But yeah, and then I would also say another thing is keep that structure for them. Yes. Make sure, again, like I'm doing with my son, get them up in the morning, keep their bedtimes as regular as you can, keep their food, fairly consistent. Again, you can pack their lunches and their snacks, and that's there for the day. If they're younger, you can have them help you with it. We have a little bit more time that we can do that. My kids have actually gotten the jobs. They each cook dinner 2 nights a week each. And before all this, they had not cooked at all. I was the one who cooked all the meals. So it's been interesting. I'm the assistant chef. And so I'm, helping them out. But it's been really great because it's empowering to them, and everybody's enjoying what they're coming up with. And that's been really fun. And then I would just say, make sure that because mine are still in school, they're doing online school, make sure that you have structured time for learning and for the school stuff that they have to do, and then unstructured time for fun and for physical activity. Make sure they're getting that physical activity. Everybody probably is, because otherwise we'd all go crazy. And then ask for, you guys ask for help. Reach out to your peers and ask for the support. And it's good for your kids to see what we do in times like this too. So make sure you're staying healthy in it, because you're the best example.
Yeah, and our kids are spending the most time with us now.
Yeah, so it's pretty.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
Where that lead by example is pretty important right now.
It really is.
They watch us how we're handling it. We're definitely modeling. Yeah. Well, Darcy, this has been inspiring. I'm feeling uplifted. Thank you. Yeah, this is a hard question to answer, but coming out of quarantine, what is that? That's such a big unknown, because we still don't know. I guess we can all know that as we roll out, coming out of quarantine, there'll still be social distancing practices. But what does that mean for you coming out of quarantine?
I think that the most important thing coming out of quarantine is that we give ourselves time and grace to kind of know that there's no right or wrong way to handle this.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to come up. I was just reading an article that was saying that coming out of quarantine, there's going to be people who, we just all have a different way of dealing with fear, and we have different fears. So some people might not. I know I have a friend who is really struggling with not hugging. She still wants to hug, and
Oh,
we're all like, "Ooh, okay, we
yeah,
can't do that right now,"
right.
and it's hurting her feelings.
Yeah.
And so being sensitive to that, to know that, you may not have that fear, but others around you might still, and not to take it personally. There's so much guilt right now too with, we're not maybe parenting or providing, or there's so many different emotions coming out of it. So just know that there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is all uncharted for all of us.
Yeah, this is where I think a lot about the power of energy,
Mm,
because we are all energy.
yeah.
And, until there's a vaccine, the doctors and the scientists and the epidemiologists are going to be telling us, no handshaking, no hugging. And for example, your friend, it's how we help each other. Okay, we give virtual hugs. We hug with our eyes and our smile, and we can feel it, I mean, I
Yeah.
know you and I are on a computer right now, but I feel you. I feel
Yeah.
your inspiring energy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's a different way for us to have to interact with each other. But I
It
love.
is. It's different. And so, I think that the other thing is to know and accept that this is a big one for me, that nothing is going to be the same, but that doesn't mean it's going to be bad.
Right.
But we have to realize that we are, for a while, going to be in a constant cycle of change and flux. And this is hard for me because I don't like change. We know that good things come out of change, and we don't grow if we're not challenging ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
What they say, that change is a one constant, but knowing that what is our norm this week will probably not be our norm next week or the week after. And again, having that grace, but just naming that, okay, I don't do well with change, but that is what it is.
Right.
That takes that power of the fear away from me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that I really appreciate. Yeah. I think the other thing is too, is being able to kind of identify what your emotions, how they manifest. If you get fearful, does it come across as anger? If you have guilt, does it come across as isolation? Knowing some of these things and how they manifest in yourself. And boy, if you don't know, ask your best friend, because
Mm-hmm.
they probably know.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to identify that. So then when you feel yourself isolating, or you feel yourself not being able to sleep, you can be like, oh, am I fearful about something? What's going on? So sometimes kind of digging that extra layer under yourself during this time
Yeah.
is really important.
Yeah. Well, I think this is an important time for specifically what you offer at Island Fitness. I love our history together, because you're very unique in that as you said, way back when you were a preschool teacher, and then after the kids, you became a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And so the importance of exercise, and you've lived in that arena, so you can speak to that. And then you had you and I both had pretty big health challenges, but after your car accident and your recovery, kind of reinventing yourself, and
Yeah.
here you are, as a wellness health coach. And I just think it's really cool. And
I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary back at Island Fitness.
Yay! Yeah. So will you remind us about the class that you're going to be offering? And is it going to start next week?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to start next Tuesday, which I don't even know the date of that, you guys. I don't know the date.
I will tell you. Hold on. Keep talking about it.
So it's going to be on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. for a 55-minute class. It's going to be on the group fitness schedule, so you can sign up for it. And you can come when you can, just like you can with the class. You can jump in, you can, whenever you can make it. It's going to be, we're going to have different topics each week, loosely different topics. So if we as a whole, a topic leads us one direction, it leads us one direction. It's going to be very organic, interactive. You can, I will share, we'll get into kind of unpack some of this stuff and get more into depth about dealing with stress, dealing with sleep, dealing with fear, dealing with the food in the house, coming up with plans, that sort of thing, and making it really powerful so you have intention for your day, you have structure for your day, and you go out and have a great week from there. So that's what we're going to be doing.
So that will begin on April 28th, Tuesday, April 28th at 10 a.m. And people could also email to you at Darcy, what's
Darcy M at island-fitness.com.
And so they could email questions to help,
absolutely,
help design some of the topics.
Yeah, if you have a topic that you are interested in and you want more discussion about, or that you're struggling with, or that you've had success with and you want to share it with people and want to have a forum to talk about it, absolutely shoot me an email, because I want, this is for you guys. So yeah, absolutely.
No, we're really fortunate for our membership to be responding really well to these virtual classes. And we've got Renee and Sherry and Sarah and Jordan and Jennifer Peabody's going to be teaching a class, and
Jillian's doing Zumba. You're doing meditation.
Yeah. So I hope everyone takes advantage of it. And well, thank you, Darcy.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to do this again. I feel good.
I know, right? Let's do it every week.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye.
Bye, Island Fitness. See you soon.
Bye, guys.